How's it going, everybody? FearTheBeardo here with Mr. Win Credible, and we just got out of the theater from seeing The Batman. And right out the gate, real quick, this is a complete Batman experience. If you haven't seen it yet, you should go out and see this movie right now. This video is going to be a spoiler-free video. So if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, or if you don't want the plot talked about, if you don't want to know anything about the movie, right here is a safe place. We're going to give you a quick, short fire, spoiler-free review, and then look for my spoiler-filled review, which will be next up on this channel. My first thoughts and opinions are, this is a complete Batman experience, down to the music, the score, the acting, the characters. If you're a Batman fan, it's all there.
I agree. If you're a Batman fan through and through, dying a sort of Batman and been following up from the comics, if you're a comic reader for Batman, this hits every aspect of that.
So many nods to the comics and so many nods to other things. Like, this is almost a... They take a lot of the best aspects of a lot of different Batman properties and they do it in kind of their own way. And there's so many things and it's all included together in this movie. That's why I think it's such a complete Batman experience. We talked about it a little bit. There's so many references down to, little things that was pulled from this Batman story or pulled from this Batman story. So many stuff it made it real special.
It's almost like a visual. I feel like a visual novel almost. I feel like it's like something straight out of a book that was like had some thought into it. This movie had a lot of thought into it, and it's not like Easter eggs is like, oh, they added that in because the fans will like it. No, it's like
not much of that.
Every Easter egg that was in it felt like it added to the story because it was a part of the story. It wasn't just an Easter egg. It was something that was part of the story and it added that much to it, and it all worked together. It wasn't just something out of the blue. It's like, oh, okay, maybe that's something for later on in the future. It's like, no, you see something that's part of the movie.
That is true. That is true. Every kind of Batman rogues gallery or name that you've heard of in Batman lore, they all have something to do and important in this movie. They're not just there just for, just to drop a name and say, oh, I got that reference because, I played this video game or I read this comic. Every character that was special to Batman did something in this movie.
Yeah.
So that was, just kind of what I said. It kind of just makes it a whole complete Batman experience, and it's really something special.
Yeah, it did not feel like your typical superhero movie. This almost felt, this is probably the most real Batman that, because everybody is going to talk about The Dark Knight, how that's the best, but this felt real. This felt like that guy could be a real figure in the world. Like, he could be living as that person. Like, it doesn't feel like whatever the Batman did, it didn't feel like, oh, that's fictional.
Right.
Everything felt real.
There's so much realism. There's a few things that he does with his gadgets that we'll talk about in the spoiler section, but there's a few of his gadgets where you're just like, that makes so much sense. Yeah. And it's some of the things where they might have not quite done it this way before, but when you see it done here, you're like, that makes so much sense. He's the world's greatest detective, and the world's greatest detective would do some of these things, would have some of these gadgets available, and some of the stuff is really kind of mind-blowing, to be honest.
It really is. Like, I'm still, a little shaken up and lost for words because so much stuff was happening, but it just felt so natural to the movie.
Yeah.
Again, it's not like, back to the Easter eggs, it's, everything served a purpose there. And like I said, he felt real. It felt like it was almost like a biography a little bit. And you got to remember, too, it's his early stages of Batman, so you're not going to get every Batman lore because it's only his second year as Batman. So it felt like there was moments where it still felt like he was new to being Batman.
Yes, and that's cool the way you said it, how you said it was like a biography of Batman, because it really is. When it says the title of the movie, The Batman, it really is the majority Batman. Like, very, you don't see Bruce Wayne too much. It really is a Batman movie, and you learn a lot about him, and there are points and things happen to him where you're like, okay, I can see how that can mold him into, the later Batman and stuff like that. So
yeah, it almost felt like, this is not a spoiler at all, but it's like almost like a life and death kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it tells the whole story of Batman from beginning to end.
it's a complete story.
That's what it felt like. And with the title, the Batman, it was like, it's like an Arkham game. It's like, this is how the Batman died. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
And
almost
it's like telling the story of the Batman before the most recent events. The way it started off like that. Like, we're going through all of his...
Which is kind of like the way you said that is an Arkham Knight reference, a video game. And there's so many little things. Like, there is a line in this movie where he's talking with Catwoman, and he literally says one of the Kevin Conroy's lines in this movie. But anyways, guys, we're getting into spoiler territory. We want to talk about spoilers. I'll leave it in the tag at the end of the video, at the end of this video, to go watch our spoiler-filled review once you have seen this movie. Or if you just want the movie spoiled for you, go ahead and click on that next video. Anyway, guys, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share this out with a friend, and we'll talk to you again soon.